knowing your numbers, and really as a seller, know your floor. As a buyer, know your ceiling. So much of this is based on it's the principles. This is all just math, and it's either principles or pride. So it's either pride or principles. This is one of those things you just have to be really well founded in going into any deal. You're always looking for the win-win. That's an inviolable principle. What's the win-win?
Right.
If you can make the deal and get the win for everybody, then you actually maintain honor and a good name throughout.
Welcome to another REI-NWA podcast. This is episode number 27, and today we're going to be talking about the art of negotiation in your real estate deals. I'm your host, Coley Bailey. I'm a executive broker and team leader at the Lone Rock team at Fathom Realty, and today I'm really pumped because I actually get to talk to a real-life rock star here in Northwest Arkansas real estate. This is Rock, Florida.
Hey, Coley.
Hey, man. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, this is going to be great. You've been being the moderator at a lot of our panels for a lot of our programs recently and been doing a great job with that. And so I'm really excited to actually have you on the podcast today. So.
Thank you, man. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a fanboy. So.
Well, thanks. So, let's talk a little bit just about your history and where you came from and how you got to the point that you're at now.
Well, I grew up as a professional musician in a traveling family bluegrass country band. Graduated high school at 15, went to guitar school and played fiddle and guitar, went off into the Army and learned there to assess, adapt, and overcome. Came out of that, went into construction in every trade except plumbing and land surveying, and really fell in love with land surveying. And did that through the 90s, construction and land surveying. And then in 98 or so, figured out that I wanted to do something different and started selling. Back when people read the newspaper, the Democrat Gazette, door to door.
You sold the Democrat Gazette door to door?
I set up all the motor route in Washington, Benton, Madison, and Carroll County back 98 through about 2000.
I sold the Democrat Gazette door to door. That
Really?
was my first sales job.
Really?
Yeah.
They got a lot of really good talent through that channel.
Yeah. Oh, I learned
really
a lot.
did. Yeah.
I mean, knocked on thousands of
I
doors.
learned a whole lot.
Yep.
And I learned a whole lot about not taking no.
Right.
Right. And about how to be, amenable and still look out for others' interest. There is something of value there.
Yep.
Now my job is just finding what it is that you would benefit from in that, So the newspaper was great. That's where I discovered that I could sell stuff. My pastor at the time was a business broker, and he suggested to his broker that he really needed to try me out in that field. So I did. The original reason I got a real estate license was to sell privately held businesses. I just jumped into the business brokerage industry and just went full bore in that for about 3 or 4 years. And that is real feast or famine.
Yeah.
But a lot of valuable education and training in, privately held businesses. You have to be able to sell the invisible.
Yeah.
You're selling cash flow. You're selling, assets that are producing revenue, and you have to prove it. Mm-hmm. And I had to get a real estate license because oftentimes there's dirt attached to the bottom of those businesses. And then I got married in 2000, and we decided to start, procreating around 2003.
Yep.
And it took a little bit more perpetual revenue at that point. So that's where I decided to get into residential real estate. For the majority of the last 20 years, I specialized in Fayetteville, 01, 03, 04. Most real estate agents would do stints running from Bella Vista to Siloam to Prairie Creek and back again. Yep. And I just, didn't know the first thing about Rogers schools. And so I decided to really just drill down, specialize in Fayetteville while I was raising a family there. In or about 2008 and 9 is when I started really taking umbrage with the 6% model, right? The traditional standard.
Right.
And that's where I started negotiating for my clients' interest, right? In 2008 and 9, a lot of my clients were having to write checks to sell their property. And I was sitting there going, well, now wait a minute. If I can get you to break even or better and work off the net proceeds line, then, that's really what I was looking to do. So I started.
Needed some creativity for those.
Yeah, I had to sit there and create solutions because, writing a check when you're selling real estate is a problem.
Yep.
And so I started, generating variable commission structures and coming up with what I could do to, meet my client's interest. And also around that same time, I started recognizing a confluence between what, buyer's agency really entailed as far as all that has now come to light. I've been dancing with that for 15 years and everybody's acting like it's new. But all that to say, I left RE/MAX. I went through several brokerages, left RE/MAX in 2014 to do my own, to prove these principles of flat fee, brokerage structures and other variable commission structures. Did that for several years and proved that these principles are valid.
Yep.
And that you can provide a more exceptional service for a more reasonable value.
Yeah.
And that's where I've been.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's amazing how much similarity there is actually there. Because I'm at a flat fee company as well now, and we have multiple different levels of service models that I do with our team. So we have a lot of flexibility there. And
one size does not fit all.
Yeah.
Everybody is unique, just like everybody else.
Every deal is unique.
Every deal is,
and it needs something different. Yeah.
What level of service do you want me to provide?
Yeah.
So I don't go all the way to the a la carte concierge models of sitting there saying, okay, here's your menu, pick these services. But, well, why not? Maybe so. It depends. I mean, we can if I want to.
Yeah.
I'm here for the client's interest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's all a value exchange. It's what is the value to the client that you can provide and still make a profit and and still move on. So
within the agency side, and then there's the investor side in which you're actually sitting there going, okay, how do we negotiate through these variables and real estate is so emotive, Coley, and that's ultimately what it really boils down to is you're dealing with, residential real estate much more emotive, as the past 4 years have definitely shown. People have just gone batty over trying to secure a home, right? But even when, looking to buy or sell as an investor, there's a lot of this involved. And really one of the major purposes of a good intermediary or somebody to really bounce what you're thinking or attempting to attain toward partners and such is to make sure you're checking it before you wreck it, prove your numbers, know your data.
Look 3 steps ahead, know what these actions are going to lead to.
Right. Yep. Have your plan A.
Yep.
But be sure you got plan B and C somewhere near at hand.
Right. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that right after this word from our sponsor. Are you struggling with real estate code compliance? Let Ordinal, your AI navigator, simplify it for you. Receive clear answers to your nuanced compliance questions in seconds with citations included. Currently, the Ordinal beta version specializes in the Northwest Arkansas cities of Bentonville, Fayetteville, Springdale, and Rogers. Join the beta version now and get your first month free using the promo code REI. After that, it's just $12 a month. Visit breakground.ai/ordinal or click the link in the description below. Start incorporating AI into your real estate workflows today with Ordinal. All right, Rock. So we are having a main meeting coming up, and it's all about negotiation. Whether you're an agent, whether you're an investor, what are some of these principles of negotiation that we should lead from?
That's a great question. Thank you. Some of the primary principles of negotiations is recognizing what is your objective at the front end, right? Your objective is either to get the deal or to sell the deal for as much as possible, and do what you're intending to do within the time frame that you're given to do it in. Some of the principles of negotiation that I'm constantly coaching, whether it's a client or into my own acquisitions and divestments, is knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers and really as a seller, know your floor. As a buyer, know your ceiling, right? And do not compromise, right? If you compromise, and again, so much of this is based on it's the principles. This is all just math and effort, right? And it's either principles or pride.
Right.
I've found so many times that if it's principles and you're standing on your principles, trust God, everything will work itself out in time, right? If it's pride, buckle up.
Right.
You're about to get, a return on your investment of education or character development or what. So it's either pride or principles. This is one of those things you just have to be really well-founded in going into any deal, right? Whether you're negotiating bedtime with a teenager or a preteen, or whether you're negotiating, the deal. And in the deal, one of the things about really being able to recognize at the front end, whether it's pride or principles with and they're not adversaries. One of the principles is your counterparty. You're always looking for the win-win.
Right.
Always. That's an inviolable principle. What's the win-win?
Right.
If you can make the deal and get the win for everybody, then you actually maintain honor and a good name throughout, right? But within that, you still have to sit there and recognize that everybody who's the counterparty is going to have a pain point or is going to have a principle that they're trying to attain towards. And within that, you really have to sit there and recognize a couple things outside of your numbers, right? Your floor and your ceiling. It's not all about your purchase price.
Right.
So many times, so much of what you're negotiating are the terms of the deal.
Exactly.
The terms of the deal are oftentimes what make the deal.
Yeah.
And looking at the other terms or variables that are in there. So for instance, the last one that April and I got to flip, they were asking $355 on it, but they had a boat slip packed in there. I don't give a rip about a boat slip. I'm not flipping a slip, right? So I backed the slip out, the 50/60, and I came in and I just said, listen, I'm making this offer based on not having the slip. Here it is. And they took the deal at $205.
Oh, wow.
Because that particular term was not, so that was another variable asset that I had no interest in that they could still market outside. But then also, when we sold our house, our last personal residence, the term that was most valuable to me was delayed occupancy.
Yeah.
Right? Or other terms that you can have within the deal. It's either the timing, the financing, was the seller willing to finance and offset tax hits? Just looking for any of those variable terms that can actually manage and massage whatever their particular issue or pain point is.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a deal that just did not make sense to my seller, okay? But as soon as the buyer said, well, would you do seller finance and then I'll do a great, interest rate and all this stuff. He was a great buyer. He just wanted to offset. He probably could have paid cash for it, but he just would have preferred to do the seller finance. And then when we explained, well, hey, you're going to get these payments for this many years and then a balloon at the end, and you get to offset your taxes, and you get all this interest in the meantime. She's like, well, why would I not do that?
Right.
Because she owned it outright, right? Yeah. So yeah, one thing I think about when negotiating, it's all about information. It's like if you don't know the problem that person is trying to solve, you almost can't help them. I mean, if you don't know, if for an agent, the problem that your client's trying to solve, you can't get those Venn diagrams to cross,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and one of the other principles that I was just speaking out in the lobby some about this one is like, when I have the capital, I'll do this. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Right.
Go get the deal, shoot your shot.
Yeah.
Right. You're the market. You dictate the value. Right. Just go out there and, make the offer. You have not because you ask not, my favorite teacher says, and again, making those offers, just going out there, doing your diligence, running the numbers, determining that your max allowable offer is in fact the max. The last deal, the one that I just bought last Monday, it was really interesting. We were negotiating, and this was a off-market deal. It was a Zillow Fizbo that I found, and I did my max allowable offer at 185. before I ever saw the place. And then I went and saw the place and I was like, I could do a lot better than that. But then I went back to them and they had said they needed 190. And I was like, I was willing to do that 190, but part of the negotiation, one of the things about a principle of negotiation is the first one that mentions money loses.
Right.
That's another good one.
Yep.
Always asking questions, asking more questions. And, and they said, I just let them come back to me. And I said, I know you need, you said you need 190. I'm at 185. What would you be, willing to do, south of what you say you need? And they just said, well, would you meet us in the middle at 187.5? I'm like, sure enough. I went in willing to do the 190, but, just let them give, a lot of times in negotiation, shut up is a really good principle, let the next one talk. And then timing is everything too, right? Making your offer. I oftentimes will make an offer and I understand that where they are in the marketplace today, they're not going to I don't expect a response in 24 hours, but I'll say, this is good for the next month.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I'll stick it out there so that they're marinating at that point, right? They're sitting there saying, well, I got a bird in the hand. And then if the market doesn't come back with them for anything else, just let it take its time.
Right.
No doesn't mean no. It just means no, not yet.
Not yet. Yep.
I
like that. All right. Well, we're going to have a panel at this main meeting, and it's going to be you and Larry Kelly.
Larry, I love Larry. I love Joe. It's going to be fun, man.
And Joe Daniels, and both of them have been on the podcast. So if you guys listening or watching haven't seen those episodes, go check those out. Great episodes as well. And definitely come out to our main meeting at the Hyatt House in Rogers on April 9th, 2024. Doors open at 5:30. We'll get started at 6. $0 at the door if you are an REI-NWA member, or $20 if you just want to check it out. But I would recommend you go ahead and join, because then you get access to a backlog of years worth of videos of all of the past programs that we've been recording. And that's all on our back-end YouTube channel.
And the network and family is invaluable.
Absolutely.
I've been floored by how much we're all working collaboratively together, more so than any agents in the marketplace. As the investor, the network is family. So come on down.
Yeah, it's a great group, and it keeps growing.
It's beautiful.
It's so cool, and everybody's got these great projects that they're doing, or they're working with different people and pulling everybody in. So the network keeps expanding. It's fun to watch. All right, well, come on out to that one, Rock. This has been really good.
Man. It's been my favorite part of the day, man.
All right.
All right.
Catch us on the next one. See ya.